Captain's Log Supplemental.
Fascinating.
Aye, sir.
Live long and prosper.
But it's a mystery. I don't like mysteries. Give me a bellyache, and I got a beauty right now.
4 phases locked and ready to fire, sir.
In the hands of an adolescent.
I'm a doctor, not a mechanic.
Pew, 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 pew. Wow. That phaser needs a little help. That is my original. Let me see this. This is my original Star Trek phaser from when I was a little bitty kid. Like, I got this when I was probably like 2 or 3. And it's totally busted. It's because it's supposed to have a silver thing here. And the reason it's like this is you would put little discs in here and you could shoot like little discs out. Like a little dime store rack toy kind of thing. They had a lot of that kind of stuff in the mid 70s. I'll talk about that eventually on my toyetic segment. But yeah, it's cool. I'm really happy I still have this because it's one of the very few things I have from my early childhood, toy wise and everything. But it's a beat up piece of shit, pretty much. So
still awesome.
Yeah. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
Not much.
We are back here, Geeking Poetic Podcast. I am, of course, the little nerd with the phaser here, otherwise known as Larry Roberts. Across from me, this tall drink of Vulcan water.
It's your boy, Vito Marchese.
It is our boy. And the Noid Android Betazoid in the middle here. Always stuck in the middle of our stupidity.
Somebody save me already. Fuck.
Yeah, we're rubbing off on her too bad too. She's starting to act a lot like us, and it's
I'm going delirious over here.
It's worrisome. Yeah. Think that they'd use the neural neutralizer on your brain.
That would be nice, actually.
Yeah, you're like, actually, there's a few things I'd like to forget, right?
You're right.
But anyway, we have Ms.
Megan Guess.
And you are listening or watching another episode of Trekking Poetic. A truck perspective. Explode. Anyway, it's a show where we talk about Star Trek original series. We're going through the whole original series from The Cage, which is basically episode 0 because it was never aired until many, many, many moons later.
But we named it number 1, so we're now on number 10.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of, so when we sit there and go episode 10, people are like, this is not episode 10, it's actually episode 9. Oh, fuck you, dude. It's episode 10. It's episode 10 of Trekking Poetic.
Take that.
Yeah.
Suck on these, bro. How about that shit? But yeah, the episode we are talking about today is called
Dagger of the Mind, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Aired November 3rd, 1966.
Yeah. Yeah, so I
I
mean,
think this is the last episode aired in just 1966.
is it really?
Mhm.
Okay, did they
I
go?
believe so.
Really? Did they get into repeats after that, or?
Well, they re-aired that one we just talked about. Well, which one was that?
No, it was what
it was
Little
Little Girls Are Made Of.
Yeah.
Re-aired in December, so I probably took off for the holidays.
Could be.
I could be wrong. The next one may be in December too. We'll see. We'll find out.
Yeah,
won't
I
we?
don't remember. I'd have to look it up. When we get to that, we'll talk about that. But Dagger of the Mind. I like this episode. Obviously, if anybody watched the last episode where we talked about Mary. Anyway, I mentioned on there about how back when I was a teenager and I was in my technical thrash band known as Neurotoxin. But what I did was I did name songs, and I wrote a song called Dagger of the Mind, and it was kind of loosely based on this episode. I think it's a good episode overall. It has some issues, and we'll get into that. But before we do that, because I kind of forgot on the last episode, and we didn't do it till the very end, I like to start by asking you guys, where does this episode rank for you out of the 10 we've watched So now we're in like a top 10. That's the only 10. It's the only 10. Top 10, folks. Well, it's the only 10 that all three of us have watched all together and ranked. So where would Dagger of the Mind sit for you?
Probably middle, I'd have to say.
On this long journey to the middle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have to agree. Smack in the middle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would not say smack in the middle. I would say this is... Well, it could be smack in the middle because I don't know exactly where number-wise I'd rank it, but it's definitely in the top 5.
Okay.
Overall, I think this is like a really good episode. I think it's a cool premise. Like I said, I have some things that are let down to me. Again, like I'd like to do, Meg, you and I, can we give them like the quick synopsis of what it's about?
All right. So they get called to this penal colony and they have to transport goods down. They get transported goods up and everything. And it turns out that there was a stowaway on the stuff they beamed up.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Dude.
That's so easy to do on a penal colony.
Well, I was
Colony.
also I was just like, man, isn't there some way to know that there was somebody in that box? Like, did they not check it?
Look at the transporter chiefs they had. He didn't even know the fucking protocol to transport to a penal colony.
And then he just disappeared.
Right. And the captain's like, you better brush up on your penal colony transportation knowledge there. He goes, oh, right away, Captain.
Right. Well, first of all, yeah.
Again, protocol, guys, Starfleet protocol. You got to follow it, or else I'm not going to like your episode.
Exactly. Talk about getting off on the wrong foot.
Right.
And furthermore, why was that schmuck there anyway? Why was Scotty not there operating the...
Because Scotty was too expensive. That was like $800 to them back
Really?
then. Yeah, so they got somebody cheaper.
Yeah, Jimmy Doohan. They mean, not Scotty. It wasn't that the Enterprise was like, we're not paying for Scotty anymore.
The actor.
It's a routine mission, guys. This is back and forth. We don't need Scotty for this one. Bring in, what's his face?
He doesn't know shit, but he could turn a knob.
Right. And Scotty would have known better anyway.
Right. But I mean, even on the other end from the penal colony and stuff, it was like, I don't know. I don't understand. This is where like the technical trekkers would have to like intervene and say, no, you don't understand how it works.
The box is shielded.
Right. I was just going to say,
right?
But how would they not know? I mean, I would imagine when you're using the transporter and you're transporting something or someone, there has to be some way it reads that so that you know and make sure that the atomic particles are
right.
So how did they not know there was a fucking person in that box?
Exactly.
Because you're going to get into like a fly situation where they're going to combine the atoms into one thing,
right? Because that's what I'm saying. That's why I thought that the transporter is a pretty complex device. It's not just simply like stand there, That's why you have to have somebody a transporter chief that knows how to do it. Because if it was that simple to just push a fader up and down,
fucking Alexander Worf's kid could do it if he wanted to, right?
Right.
See, but that's what I'm saying. You should talk about somebody that needed to get lost in a transporter incident.
I like Alexander, man.
I know. What the hell?
Fuck Alexander.
Oh, boy.
Spread his particles.
Shots fired, man.
Spread his particles across the galaxy. Should have let that guy have a bad transporter incident, not that poor Vulcan in Star Trek the motion picture. Oh, that scene scarred me when I was a kid. We'll get to that one whenever we talk about Star Trek the motion picture, man. Yeah, I didn't.
Or as I like to call it, the motionless picture.
Yeah, you came up with that one. I think everybody calls it
Do they?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
My buddy Corey told me that. I didn't know that. But
he would have, yeah. But yeah, that bothered me. I also loved when what was that dude's name? The crazy guy, Van Gelder.
Yeah.
I love when
Simon Van Gelder.
Was I the only one that was bummed that he came out of it so slowly because I wanted him to pop out of it like a fucking Jack in the Box and shit? Just to be like, just to pop out and be like, because you see it coming.
Yeah.
You could see what's gonna happen. You could see it coming. Plus, speaking of coming, I thought it was funny when the very first scene you see is that giant. It looked like an oversized pill bottle
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
they were sending down, and it says like penal meds, and I'm like, that's a big ass bottle of Viagra. And then the funny part is like Kirk comes walking in all of a sudden, and he's got this look on his face, and I'm like, imagine in my mind, he's just like, God damn, what are they doing with all that Viagra? Do you know what I could do with that? Captain James G. Kirk, damn it. Like, imagine what I could do with that. Bone everybody in this universe, you know? But moving on from that, we come to find out that this so-called escapee from this penal colony was not actually a prisoner there.
Nope, he was one of the doctors assigned to the penal colony.
And he's off his rocker.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Oh, you're losing a little bit. A little bit.
Well, he's not off his rocker. He's got everything in there. It's just painful for him to say it.
Right.
Because the other doctor fucked him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
So
fuck with their brain, pal. It ain't worth it.
yeah. So what it turns out is that this doctor that's down on in the penal colony has been doing this experimental thing on patients using a neural neutralizer that is being presented in a way that, well, it's a thing that's supposed to be making them less violent and helping to kind of neutralize patients' anger and their impulses and all this stuff. But what in fact it is this doctor is using it to control people. Like he wants to
rewire their brains to do what he wants.
Right.
Be his zombies.
Basically, yeah, making like zombie workers, kind of, so to speak. Bones, to his credit, right away, because he's a damn good doctor. You know,
I like Bones in this one.
Not a bricklayer. Damn it, I'm a doctor, Jim, not a bricklayer. But right off the bat is like something's up. Something's not right about this. I can tell there's something not right. This guy's just, and he was right the whole way. And
I like how he put Kirk in his place. He's like, I'm going to write it up. That means you got to take care of it. Sorry.
well, because Kirk is a smug fuck in this episode. Kirk is a very unlikable person in this episode, in my opinion. I didn't like his attitude towards Dr. Noel. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I never quite understood
He
that.
banged her at the Christmas party.
Well,
and they
no,
never
he
called
Why
her.
is he being
didn't.
such a
Right?
dick?
That's how I took it.
But see, I don't think
Because
he...
she reminded him, hey, you never called me. Or whatever, right? And I was going to get stuck on a mission with her. I think that's what happened, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, because he's acting like she's the crazy-ass bitch that he ever met.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they got a little vague about that. See, because I agree with you. I thought at first it was supposed to be like, oh, he banged her and then never called her kind of thing. But then when they get to the scene where he's in the neutralizer and she's putting the suggestion into his mind, and she says, we danced at the Christmas party and everything, and you were telling me about the stars or whatever. She's like, but now I want to change that and have it be that you swept me off my feet and took me to your cabin and all this kind of. So I got the impression that in actuality he didn't go for it. It was kind of more like he got a little drunk on some Romulan ale or something. He kind of wooed her a little bit, but then like
He whiffed the crazy on her or something like that?
Like he just blew her off. Like he didn't actually, and maybe she, maybe she then kind of got hung up on him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's hard to tell because the problem is it's 60s television, so they had to be so vague about it. They couldn't make
Maybe she stalked him for a while. That would explain his behavior.
But he clearly knew that he didn't want anything to do with her.
Right.
But even just like his attitude about it, I was like, damn, bro, you're being a dick.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Because if the thing is that you did like have sex or whatever, relations with this girl and you like blew her off, like, you ain't got a right to be all like, oh, thanks, Bones, for hooking me up with her.
Like, she better be a damn good psychiatrist.
Right, his attitude
Like,
about it.
dude, she's on your crew. She better be a damn good psychiatrist. It's on you, not Bones.
Exactly. I didn't care for that at all. And I also just didn't care about his attitude he had towards Bones. Because it's like he should have right off the bat been like, well, Bones is Bones and he can be a little this and that, but he's damn good, and I'm not going to just completely dismiss him because I'm such a fucking fanboy of this fucking doctor on this penal colony. Oh, I've been to those penal colonies. They're like resorts. They're amazing. Blah, blah. He's so smitten with that you're just going to throw all caution to the wind. Now, granted, thankfully, once he got down there,
As soon as he saw that room, he's like, wait a minute.
He started to sniff the crazy on the doctor, I think, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get into that. And that's another thing I have a little bit of a problem with is, so then Kirk goes into the neural neutralizer and he's like, I'll tell you what. He tells what's-her-nuts, Noelle, you're a doctor. You know how to operate this thing. I'm sure you can figure it out. Let's try it out on me and see what it does. It's like,
what?
Again, getting into like what you were talking about before about like protocol and away mission 101. How fucking stupid do you got to be?
You're the captain of the fucking Enterprise.
Right?
First of all, why are you even down on the planet, first of all? Okay, there's protocols that say the captain does not go on away missions. I understand that you need to be because you're the star of the show.
No, but that's a good point, and that's part of the problem. Why did he go? Because that doctor invited him to go, and Kirk was so smitten with this doctor and the thing that he couldn't wait. I finally get to meet the great doctor. It's like... Are you kidding me, you clown? In so many respects, Kirk sort of had it coming to him, man, because he so blindly thought this doctor just couldn't be up to anything wrong. Mm-hmm. He ignored signs that some of his best staff were giving him, telling him, hey, man, and they continued to give him. They continued when he would check in. They're like, yeah, we were just... Bones is like, yeah, me and Spock were just talking to Van Gelder here, and he told us about some more stuff, dude, and we really think, and Spock and Kirk's just like, yeah, I think I'm going to stay the night. We're going to stay the night here, and yeah, I'll talk to you in a few hours kind of thing. And it was like, dude, really? I don't know. That kind of writing, that sort of bothers me because I get that Kirk has a certain amount of hubris, about him and everything, and that he could potentially make a mistake because of that. But I just feel like he would have been smarter than that.
Yeah, he asked for it. He walked right into it. It's like, let me sit in this chair that clearly tortures people or treats them anyway.
Well, not even that. I mean, we know that he knew because the doctor had already told him that Van Gelder had been messed up from having been in that chair and everything. And to sit there. And then furthermore, the whole episode, he's bickering with what's-her-nuts. Noelle. I can't keep forgetting her name. Noelle.
How can you forget her, man?
Noelle. He keeps bickering with Dr. Noelle. He keeps bickering with her. He doesn't seem to think very much of her and her expertise on things, and he's questioning her about stuff. And then all of a sudden, he's just like, oh, you probably know how to operate this thing. I'll trust you.
Right.
He started out going just mere moments ago being in the transporter and being like, I can't believe I have to go on this away mission with her. She better be damn good. To moments later being like,
I completely trust you.
He's him going, I'll tell you what, put some suggestions into my head. It's like, what? Why would you do that? I don't know. Yeah, maybe the more I'm thinking about this episode, it's kind of pissing me off. I love the concept. I love the idea of the neural neutralizer. Like, I think it's a really cool concept. It's a controversial subject. The idea of, is it okay to mess with people's minds for what you deem is like, because
did this predate Clockwork Orange?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because Clockwork Orange deals with the same thing, and it's the same topic. Like, okay, you're going to you're going to rewire a person's brain. Oh, yeah, and the whole thing about causing pain and all that stuff when you think, wrongdoing, all that kind of stuff. It brings the moral question of, is it right or is it wrong to do that to people? Clearly, obviously, he was wrong because he wasn't just doing it to prisoners. He was doing it to the workers and everything there so he could control everybody. But even doing it to the prisoners, I mean, you get the kind of impression. They didn't go on a long soliloquy about it, but you get the impression that Bones is kind of like, yeah, I don't think too much of this. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, even Noelle said something about everybody seemed blank.
Yeah.
Right.
They weren't really there. They were just kind of, again, zombies walking around there.
well, and she starts out being very like, oh, this doctor's amazing. Like, he's a reputable doctor. And, you know, yeah, I mean, doing things to rewire people's brains to a point is a good form of therapy. But this wasn't just therapy. This was literally like brainwashing.
Manipulation.
Yeah,
Exactly.
brain manipulation. So cool concept. I think it's a great concept, but there's just a few things like that.
Yeah, and kind of on that same vibe, like Spock and them, he was originally supposed to hypnotize Van Gelder, but then they
Okay.
decided that they didn't want to make that like a medical, actual good thing
Right.
to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to shoehorn Spock into being able to hypnotize anybody whenever
Right.
it's possibly needed. So that's when they came up with the mind meld.
Which is awesome, and that alone is like a huge bonus, big thumbs up for this episode, because not only that's a cool concept that got used quite a bit, but I love the way it was done. I love the fact that they start out, because you kind of forget, because later on he's done that so many times and things like that, and other people have done it. But when Bones first brings it up to him, Spock's like really
No.
against it. He's like, this is a very private thing amongst Vulcans to do this. Like, we won't just throw this around like for a party trick kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way they acted that together in unison, I thought that was really, really cool, really well done. Again, another thing furthering how interesting Mr. Spock was, you know. But I really liked how they showed more character interaction. I loved seeing McCoy and Spock working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the first time, really, wasn't it?
To
Of
re-
them, the two of them.
Really together, like, you know, there wasn't any like bickering and, you know what I mean, and the insults and racist insults and stuff like that.
Green-blooded Vulcan.
Right. It was actually like them really working together. I love Spock's reactions.
Oh my God. He had so many great reactions in this whole episode.
Dude.
He was the best part.
Him just as an observer in this episode, like when McCoy and Kirk are going at each other on the bridge of the ship, talking about you know when Kirk's being very dismissive of McCoy's thoughts and concerns, and then McCoy's throwing it back at, and Spock just standing there watching, being like, damn. He's got that look on his face, like, damn.
Yeah, and Kirk looks at him. He's like, "Got you there. Sorry."
It's like, yep,
You're
it's
fucked.
on you, dude. And then that scene
In the
when
transporter room.
well, in the transporter room when he beams down with Noelle, and then when Spock finally beams down, and Kirk has been brainwashed into thinking he's madly in love with Noelle. And all of a sudden he beams in, and there's Kirk, like he's got her like up against the wall, and he's making out with her big time, and Spock's just like, the fuck? You can see Spock's like, I'm coming down here thinking like shit is going down bad, but it's going down in a whole other way, you know? He's just like, what the fuck is this about? Like, his reactions, just awesome. Just awesome. I would say this is, especially to this point, but even overall, out of the original series, some of my favorite Spock stuff is in this episode. Because, like I said,
It's in my top 2.
yeah, I love this and the Naked Time.
Yes.
Definitely up to this point, I think are some of the best Spock we've gotten so far. This really helped to develop his character.
Yeah, I like in the beginning also how Kirk just kind of shoots Spock a look, and Spock knows to move in to.
Dude, that scene when they take down Van Gelder, when he comes into the bridge with the phaser, with his fucking thing, when he comes into the bridge with the phaser, and you can see, and the way they act that out, and that you can like, it's so well done. That's well acted and well directed and written, where like Kirk's like slowly moving in, and you know he's kind of like. And at the same time, Spock's moving in. So it's like they have had no conversation with each other, but it's like they're working this together. And it's like if Kirk's moving closer, then Van Gelder's not paying any fucking attention to Spock. And then as soon as Spock catches his attention and distracts him, then Kirk's like, boom. And he kicks that fucking phaser out of his hand. Spock goes in and neck pinches him. Dude, seriously, watch it again. Like, that's a badass scene. It's real quick. It's real simple, but it's like, I mean, obviously Vulcan neck pinch isn't real, but
Wait, what?
I know you wish it was, Vito, but there are forms of it that doesn't quite do that. But anyway, I know that it's
Just like the hi-ya on the shoulder.
Judo chop.
passes
judo
you out.
chop, yeah.
Knocks you out for hours.
Right.
Every time.
But I think that even though it's obviously that aspect of it isn't true, I feel like the way that was done and the way it was acted, it felt real. Like it felt like that's legit. Like that's how it would be in the real world, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
So many of the fights and stuff in Star Trek is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
with
pretty
it,
terrible.
with their with Kirk with his infamous clenched two-hand fist.
Boom.
Hitting a guy in there. Oh, it's like, oh, come on, man.
Totally me spoofing all that good
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Exactly. So, anyway, yeah. So that's the thing. So while there are things about this episode that irritate me, there's enough other stuff about it that I'm like, fuck yeah. Okay, now I remember why I liked this episode so much. Like there's some really good stuff. Noelle started out being a little annoying. She was a little smug and snarky too, but then she ended up really proving herself and being pretty badass.
Crawling around the biggest air ducts ever.
Yeah. What?
I just I'm pretty sure they knew what they were doing when they were filming some of those shots.
Because she's wearing a mini skirt.
Yeah.
A micro skirt.
Yeah, I
if
think
you
she had
will.
the shortest skirt so far in the series that I can remember.
Another interesting thing, like we noted in the last episode about Uhura not being there, and in this episode we didn't have Scotty. We also didn't have Sulu.
That's true. Oh man,
Right.
we haven't seen Sulu in a couple episodes.
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
And one last thing that was a little bit annoying about this episode. So they introduced the character of, what was his name? Lethe?
Lethe.
Yeah, Lethe, which is like a Greek term for the river of forgetfulness or something like that. So
Which is
One
apt.
of those.
apt, yeah, yeah, a little on the nose, right? But here's the thing: so they bring her,
She was
in-
the therapist chick, right?
Yeah.
right? That was brainwashed.
In my notes, I have she reminds me of Alicia, the chick, the Joker's girlfriend in Batman '89. That he turns into a zombie. That's the
Really?
first thing that came to my mind when I saw her come on screen for some reason.
Akin to the role, but yeah, and akin, I guess, similar in the same way that neither character had any fucking point of being
No,
in there at all.
I kept thinking she'd come back and help him out, escape, or nothing.
Nothing.
What
Never
was
saw her again.
so? Think about this: they couldn't pay Jimmy Doohan his $890 that he was due to play the fucking security chief in there. But they could pay this actress, whatever it was, to be there and be completely insignificant. And they, like I said, even the way they introduced her, you thought like, okay, there's gonna, what's she gonna do? Like she's like, even if they would have had her go after Noelle when Noelle like was trying to go shut down
Right.
the power and all that stuff, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden have her come in there, and so they'd have an excuse for the whole girl battle
on girl
fight kind of thing. That would have made sense. It didn't happen.
Maybe she had more of a role and ended up on the cutting room floor.
Maybe. Anybody
I hope
out there
so.
know? If anybody out there knows, I'd be curious to know, because otherwise, boy oh boy, up to this point, one of the most useless Star Trek ancillary characters, What? It was so dumb. And it just irritated me because I was like, when they first,
She
I was
could have
like,
been a really cool character.
well, I was just like, oh, okay, where are they going to go with this? Nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. And then I have to admit, even the whole thing with the way the doctor succumbed when Kirk judo chopped him and everything, and then he came to and he was alone in that neutralizer room, and then it just killed him. He's dead, Jim. And it's like, and even that, Kirk was like, how the fuck's he dead? It's like, what? It wiped his mind. Okay, but why is he dead? But it's like, and they tried to explain it that it was like,
Well, he was alone.
he died of loneliness. And I was
His
like,
own thoughts and not even a tormentor to keep him company.
and I was like, okay, that's a little weak. Like they
Yeah.
could have even made it more medical and been like, it went so strong and everything that it caused his brain to shut down function, because your brain needs to be able to function to tell your heart how to function and all that. You know what I mean? And everything.
Or he's fighting it and had an aneurysm or something.
Right? Yeah.
Something.
That it's something that it caused him to. It literally fried his brain. He's brain dead. He's breathing, but he's completely brain dead. They could have done something like that. But yeah, so the ending was a little bit of a letdown, and then they never address Noel anymore. You get the impression at the end when Kirk is talking about the whole thing about the loneliness and stuff when he's back at the bridge. Were they hinting that he was supposed to still be suffering a little bit from the neutralizer, like what it had done to him? Because he seemed kind of maudlin, and it was like, is he maudlin because like, is he still trying to, because that suggestion of you're in love with what's her face and everything.
Yeah, they didn't just go away. They never explained how they got better.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because they destroyed the neutralizer.
Right.
So and I don't know, is there a way to? Do you just get better? I guess you do, because they talk about how Van Gelder was back on the planet and he shut it down. So he obviously recovered from whatever had been done to him.
I don't think the writers care to tell you.
Well, that's why I'm saying that
they got another story to write next week. So
in that respect, that's
Little
just
weak.
bringing up a downside. That irritated me a little bit. They should have mentioned one last time when Kirk was sitting there in the chair and he was seeming kind of maudlin. They should have mentioned the fact of, still dealing with trying to get over having these feelings for somebody that he knows aren't even his real feelings. You know what I mean? Like for Noel and all that kind of stuff, and bringing that up. Or they could have even used a thing and said, Dr. Noel has decided to stay behind with Dr.
Right.
Gelder to help him reverse clean up the mess and reverse blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And then have Kirk be a little like, oh, like a little bum that she's gone kind of thing. And then be like, oh, now you miss her, huh? I thought you didn't like her. And say, well, I don't.
It's damn programming.
Yeah, I don't really like her, but it was put in my head, and it's hard to ignore.
And
what's
now
been
I'm
put-
fucked.
Yeah, or not. So, I don't know. Anything else? Any interesting points to bring up about this episode before we move on?
No, I think we've waxed on long enough on this one.
Have we waxed on and waxed off? Because otherwise, Mr. Miyagi's going to come for your ass.
Yeah, he will.
Anyway, no, no, because there's a lot of things that end up referring to stuff that happens later. Well, there is a thing that gets referenced later in Deep Space Nine about this.
Like I give a shit about Deep Space Nine.
Wow, man. Folks, do you see what I have to fucking deal with here?
Very select Trek fans here.
Man, oh man. There are people sitting at home right now that are like, that Vito guy, I thought he was one of us, but man, I don't know.
Dude, TNG and Voyager guys. I mean, you can't top those when it comes to Trek. I'm sorry.
Right. See, okay. How do you feel about that, Meg? Original.
I'm with you on TNG. I dig original too, but dude, she fucking cries every episode.
No, she don't.
Every time Voyager gets brought up. Every time. But anyway, guys, we are, I think we're out of time here.
We are way out of time here.
So, on that note, what is the next episode? I believe it is, we get into some good old Clint Howard action.
All right. Love me some Clint Howard.
We get into the Corbomite maneuver.
Corbomite?
Corbomite.
Corbomite.
It is Corbomite! Oh. Anyway, we're going to do Corbomite maneuver in the next episode. Until then, we're going to leave you with a little salutations farewell. We got to do it. Can you do it, Meg? Can you make it happen? Oh, she's getting better.
All right.
Each time. Just getting a little bit better. Can you do this? Can you go like that and then
Nope.
like that and then like that?
Not going to happen. Nope.
And then
Wait, what?
you can go like this and then switch it and go
There
like
you go.
that.
This is really good.
Just this. Meg's got jazz hands. That's it. She's like, next week we
We'll
talk
fix it in
about.
post.
She's like, we talk about Corbomite. All right, everybody. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
communication has ended.